Good morning, all, and welcome to Global Resources for Men. I'm your host, Alicia Buss, and today I have the great privilege and honor of connecting you with Dakota Hoagland. He is a building technician for Colliers International here in Charlottesville. He is a former college athlete and a current strongman. He's going to talk to us about his story of getting up to 460 pounds by age 16 and the journey of 15 years of transformation and personal evolution as he got down to 280 pounds of just muscle and strength, and how one man really changed his life. So, Dakota, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. So, our first time of having Dakota share his story. So, we're excited to have him on here and to inspire the youth of today and so many more people out there. So Dakota, tell us a little bit about like how it all started, like getting up to that level of weight at a young age. It's got to be a story all on its own, right?
Yeah. Well, growing up, we lived in me and my family, we lived in a small, like, I want to say rural, I don't know. The town was Charlottesville back home for the people that are watching that know it. But I mean, we lived there until I was in second grade. But when we lived there, houses were very close together. I had my friends that I would go ride bikes with and all this and that. And then we moved to where my parents currently reside in Shoemakersville. And that's more of a very countrified. We're kind of like out, I wouldn't say the sticks, but we're out in farmland. So my closest neighbor was maybe 100 yards. So I went from having friends close by to where I could ride bike and this and that all day to not having. I was a whole new school, didn't know kids. At the time, my parents were going through issues, and that in turn led to the weight gain because I kind of just, I don't want to say shut down, but I kind of secluded myself to where I would come home from school and I would go into my room, play video games. Um, Me, my brother, I mean, he was 4 years younger, but we didn't really, as we got older, we didn't really like, I guess, have that brotherly bond to where we would like hang out and like, do stuff. So I just sat in my room and just ballooned up, and it got to the point to where I think I was 15 when I remember the doctor's appointment. It was me and my dad. We went to the pediatrician and they took my weight, and the doctor said if I kept at the rate I was going in terms of my health and not really making a change or anything, that he said I would have had a heart attack by the time I was 18 because of, I mean, my diet was nothing but potato chips, chicken nuggets, cookies, bagel bites. So, yeah, I mean, the whole moving to a more secluded area to where I didn't have kids my age close by to where I could go out and play and, be a kid.
Yeah.
Uh, that on top of the issues with how my parents were going through some issues, and that just, I guess, at a young age added to depression, and it kind of like all spiraled into one and eventually led to what I was at. 460 was my highest, and that was around 15, 16 years old, ninth grade. And
Sounds like a
then,
lot.
yeah, yeah, it's weird to think back on it now because I didn't, I did not have, there's very few photos of me at that age because, or at that weight, because I'm not, I mean, even now I'm not very photogenic, but I was just never, I didn't like my photo being taken because I didn't like the way I looked. I was you know, being told when you're that age and you have family members telling you that you're a whale or you're fat, and then you know how middle school kids are, and it's torturous. But yeah, that all kind of led to what it was. And then yeah, sorry, I'm kind of like first time talking about this, and I'm not a big public speaking fan, so I'm kind of getting through it. But yeah.
You're doing great. You're doing great. Don't worry about it. So, yeah, there's so many layers to that, right? Just the relationships and the dynamic of people's thoughts about obesity and society's thoughts about obesity. And then you had a particular teacher, right, that really changed your
Yeah,
life.
so I mean, younger years, when when I when we lived in my parents' first house, I grew up playing soccer and t-ball and all that, and it was never really in the football. I never really played football. I tried out for Mighty Mites, but I quit after 2 days because the uniforms that they had wouldn't fit. So I just cut my losses and didn't think much of it. Went back to, the typical Xbox video games. And ninth grade, got to high school, and it was my social studies teacher who would eventually become my football coach. I mean, I always refer to him as the guy that essentially saved my life in a sense, kind of like led to what I am today, because it was just, I mean, they saw my size because I was 6'3", 6'2", 6'3", and 450 plus pounds. So like, obviously, if a football coach sees that, they think size. But he made a bet with me because he knew I wasn't healthy, and he really wasn't even a bet. He just said about he wanted kind of like a little personal bet, or he just wanted me to lose a pound a week. That's all it was just a pound a week. And he I don't know, I can't remember if he set like a weight loss goal, but he just wanted me to slowly lose and then come out for football. And it that was also my first year of football because he talked me into joining. And I remember the first day of camp, we would always do we would do 2 laps around the practice field. And back then it was torture for me because I couldn't run worth the shit. Like, I was out of breath. And the other coach, Coach Krim, who I'm still close with and talk to from time to time, I remember he had said, because there were some coaches and people that, said I wasn't going to make it just because my size and how out of shape I was. And Coach Krim, I don't know why or what, but he said if I make it through the first day and come back the second day, that it'll be essentially game over. Like, he'll know, like he knows, like I'm sticking it through. But back to Coach Buggy, yeah, it was just a simple lose a pound a week. And I thought at the time I didn't know much about exercise and fat loss and this and that. So obviously it melted off pretty quickly because most of my body composition was adipose fat. And it just started with, I would do, I think it was, I started off doing 2 miles every night. It wasn't a full on, I didn't start off running, started off walking. And then, I would get to a point to where I could start to run and not be out of breath. So it led to a slight jog. And then I would see a telephone pole and I would sprint from one telephone pole to the next. And then I would walk. And then it was just like that throughout the back roads, and ended up in a big loop. Started off at 2 miles and then it eventually led to 5 miles every night. And, at first it was, you know, 2 pounds a day. And then I was losing a decent amount every week. And granted, I wasn't doing it the correct way. I wasn't eating correctly. I was essentially kind of starving myself while doing lots of cardio. And that led to other issues down the road in terms of like um, my body being deficient in certain vitamins and stuff like that. And uh, I mean, it led to my hair thinning, which is why I'm bald now by choice. But yeah, I mean, it ended up being turning into 5 miles a day and rain, sleet, snow. Because that growing up, there was a Chinese restaurant that my family would go to. It felt like it was every week. And when I started getting to the point to where I was being serious about the weight loss and this and that, it would come to the point of Friday night and my parents or my dad say about going to Chinese restaurant, and I would say no. And I think that kind of threw him off in a sense because it was just something for the longest time. I would do it every week. We would always go to the Chinese restaurant. And then I stopped going because I realized like if I want to get to what if I want to get to the point of like being something, I guess, and like being healthy in a sense and being okay with my body, I knew like I had to cut that. But yeah, I mean, it was rain, sleet, snow, pouring down rain, blizzards. I was out there running. Was no was not doing it safely. Like I wasn't wearing reflective vests or anything. But I mean, the backcountry roads, nobody ever drove them. So
I'm glad no one ever hit you.
yeah, would have put a big dent in their car.
How did that change the relationships at school and with your family along that journey?
Um, School wise, it was it was different because I mean, growing up, like when I was obese and I was the gamer, I had my friend group was, you know, the people that a lot of people consider like the I don't want to say the nerds or the dweebs, but like the people that didn't fit in with the popular group. The,
Outcasts.
yeah, essentially like. And so while losing the weight, I mean, I wasn't going to change my friend group because I was slowly turning into a jock. Because once I lost the weight and got in with football and then wrestling, like I gained those groups of friends, but I still had my outcast friends that people would call them. So, I mean, it benefited me that it benefited me in a way, in a sense, because it allowed me to, I guess, expand my friend group, but also in the same sense, when I got into that, I guess, jock phase, the kids that would start to be cool with me and this and that were the same kids that 5 years before were calling me fat and whale and blubber. So it's like I knew, like I knew they were kind of putting off a fakeness, but in the back of my head, I kind of knew like I didn't forget that shit. And even to this day, I still remember the name of every kid that ever said shit to me. And it just, yeah, in terms of family, um, yeah, family was, growing up when I was heavy, uh, it always felt like my grandparents on the one side didn't, um, it's almost felt like they were kind of like, I don't want to say embarrassed by me in a sense, yeah, because you know they they would give my parents, books on like fat children and how to get your kid to lose weight and this and that. But that was one set of grandparents. And then the other, well, my grandmother from the other side, she kind of added to the weight. Like she was a, I don't want to say intricate, important factor in my weight gain, but whenever I would be with her, whenever she was watching me growing up, it would always lead to Burger King cheesecakes every time, and that's just that added to it. And I mean, with but then once I got you know into sports and this and that, then I had family members that wanted to start, I guess, supporting me, even though they never really supported me in the past. Which I mean, I kind of can see why, because I didn't really do anything to garner support. But when when I remember aunt a certain aunt who's also my godmother, um, she would drive. She told my cousins when they were driving by the house that, oh, the real fat kid lives there and this and that. And then all of a sudden I end up getting into college and doing stuff with football. And then next thing you know, she wants to pop back up into my Facebook messages or this or that to, like, say how proud of me she is. And it's just, there's a lot of fakeness.
I can definitely see how those things would be a struggle. Um, but people can change too, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they
If
are
they,
proud and like, but because they can evolve too. Who knows which side they fall on the spectrum of being authentic and
yeah.
being proud of you, and also, potentially feeling remorse about how they treated you before.
Yeah. But I mean, it's possible, but I mean, I I don't have contact with them anymore. So, but
Do you ever talk to any of those people, either family or friends, to have conversations about how their words and actions impacted you in the past?
I didn't really, friends, no, just because, like I said, the ones that did ridicule me and add to the issues, um, I kind of realized, like, I didn't want them. I don't want to say want them in my circle. I just didn't want to associate with them just because, it it sucked. And but again, it was just high school kids. But the
Yeah.
family, I mean, I've never talked to some of the people that added to it. Maybe I should, but
Maybe today's interview will prompt conversations.
yeah, maybe. Hopefully it's not
So,
too late.
never know. It can be really beautiful in the transformation, both in the body and the heart and the soul, when we open up to possibility. What advice would you give kids that might be struggling, or adults for that matter, with the same sort of things that you struggled with?
In terms of, I mean, when it comes to the whole weight loss thing, um, there's so much information out there now. And especially if if you're someone that, realizes you want to, like, you realize like you need to make a change for your health or this or that, or you want to get into the gym. I mean, like I said, there's information, tons of information, but if you just go to the gym, just find somebody. Like, it's easy to find somebody in the gym that you can tell they have a good idea of like what they're doing, and like just go up and talk to them, because you know especially if you're new to the gym or the fitness industry or whatever you want to call it, it is very, very intimidating when you go into a gym and you don't know the first thing about what to do or this or that, but you see people in there and if you're heavy and you do have self-conscious issues, you kind of like go into your shell to where you don't want to talk to people. But if there's people in the gym, like I people come up to me here at the gym all the time and will ask me questions, and they'll say, "Oh, I was afraid to ask you because this or that." And I tell people all the time, like, just come up and talk. Like, I have, if with what I've been through and just in terms of like the knowledge I have and stuff with, you know, the amazing coaches, strength coaches and nutrition coaches that I've worked with over the years, um, all the knowledge I've gained from them, I'm more than like I'd love to share it just because I would have killed to have somebody like that when I was getting started.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. So advocating for your needs and desires
Yeah,
is a big part of it.
because I mean I've had a few people come up to me and just like over the years, and because they didn't really know my story. I want to say they just seen my posts on social media on how like I was super heavy and what I look like now. And I mean, it's just I I I'd rather help people because I know what it's like to not have the help.
Yeah. No, that definitely makes sense. In regards to maybe standing up to bullies or people that are ridiculing you and getting the support from
I
people in that
mean,
regard.
when it comes to the bullying aspect, I've realized, I mean, obviously it's as I gotten older and stuff, but I've realized if the bully has more issues going on in his life than you do in yours, because they're they're making up for their own insecurities by taking it out on somebody that they can see is insecure. So trust me, if you're getting bullied, the person who's bullying you is probably going through some shit too. But in a sense, it doesn't make it okay.
Yeah. Finding allies and people to help you have better boundaries
Yeah.
and keep you safe at school and other environments. In regards to parents, because I don't think you have any kids at this age, but maybe down the line sometime. But for parents that have children that are struggling with those sorts of things, what kinds of advice would you give to those parents and how to support those kids in conversation and
Just talk to
whatnot?
them. Just talk to them. It's, I mean, it sucks because like I love my parents to death, but yeah, like if you're a parent and you got a kid that's, you know, you can kind of see they're not maybe happy or they're having weight issues, just, just talk to them, ask them, just say something about, hey, you want to go for a walk, or just try and get them to do something active. Maybe not super active, but just something. Because I mean, it's something as simple as just going outside and walking, being in the sun. It, how much it can make your mood better. And if you, yeah, I mean, it's a tough question. All I can really say is just talk to them. Just talk to them. Try to figure out, what they're thinking and what's going on in their head, so you can try and get a better understanding of them. So that way it'll be easier for you to maybe figure out ways to connect with them or to help them get started on the process.
Yeah, like see your kid for who they are and where they're at versus who you think they should be and where you think they should be at.
Yeah.
Have conversations without shaming or judging the kid.
Yeah.
I feel like that's probably true for any age, right? Any relationship that we have, be it parents, colleagues, friends, lovers, partners, whatnot, to just have a conversation more of curiosity and kindness and respect
Yeah.
than automatically judging a person and putting them in a box and
Yeah.
assuming what they need and expecting how they should engage with you, but rather just flipping it around with curiosity and love.
It's just I guess just talk to them and see, because I feel nowadays, especially, like, yeah, I know nowadays, especially, parents don't pay attention really at all to their kids because of cell phones and iPads and this and that. And, I mean, it's just, especially at a young age, if you're a toddler, it just is going to make it worse down the line to where when they get older, you're not going to be able to attempt to connect with them just because growing up they couldn't connect with you as a parent because it was you just threw them a cell phone or you threw them an iPad.
Youth is fleeting and conversation and connection is indeed important,
Yeah.
especially 0 to 7 in those foundational years. Did you ever talk to that coach, your teacher, and tell him how he saved your life and how much you appreciated him?
Um, I so after high school, I mean, we kept in touch. I mean, I remember my freshman year of college when I was coming home for break. I stopped in to see him because he had just had his first daughter, and then uh, I didn't see him again until I think 6 years later. And I mean, I never really I never told him that. I never told him that in a sense he saved my life, but I think I don't know. I think because I always talked highly of him. Coach Buggy, if you're watching, but yeah,
Mhm. It's never too late. And maybe
yeah,
he'll get to watch this as well. And then he'll get to know.
yeah.
When you were growing up and going through that whole transformation, I'm sure it was surprising to you. Like, what were those victories? How did you honor your victories along the way when you were just like, oh my gosh, I just did this? Like, I never thought this would be possible for me.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I really didn't like the weight loss. I really didn't view it. It's weird. Like, I didn't view it as victories. It's not like because I just wanted to lose weight. Just I mean, I don't know. I guess I just wanted to do it to show people, well, not people, but I guess to prove to him that I could do it. And then also I had to lose weight because, you know, I enjoyed football and I knew I guess if I wanted to do something with football, I couldn't be as heavy as I was. And then also with after uh my junior year is when I joined the wrestling team because I couldn't freshman or sophomore year because the weight limit was 285 and I was clearly over that. And it wasn't until junior year when I was 250, when I dropped to 250 was my lowest, that I could actually go out to wrestle. And then I guess it wasn't more so about, I guess, mental victories for the weight loss. It was just more so about losing the weight so I could, I guess, play sports that I enjoyed that gave me a sense of like accomplishment, gave me a sense of pride. Because yeah, I mean, I guess like growing up, I do shit with sports, didn't watch sports, nothing, and then freshman year came around, and all of a sudden I was entrenched with football, and then you know it literally became my life. I guess all I cared about was that and the gym, and it was not, I'm trying to think of the word. It affected relationships for sure. Um, Past relationships with partners, you know, being told uh, you you care too much about the gym, this won't work out. Um, you care too much about football, this won't work out. So I just, to me, it was, that was the only thing that was a constant. That was the only thing that stuck around. That was the only thing that, you know, really didn't let me down. So that's what I put all my energy and effort into. And that's what I just kind of like focused on throughout high school, throughout college.
Makes a lot of sense. We have to find the people in our lives that align with our values. And at that time, it sounds like football was where your value system held
Yeah.
what you really needed. In regards to that, there's a tremendous amount of self-discipline and body awareness that goes with playing football, right? Like the spatial awareness of your backspace, what's in front of you, your reflexes, all of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
Like, how did you see the shift there? And then how that impacted how you engaged with the rest of the world, with work and that.
Sorry, can you say that again? I was just trying to like,
No, it's totally fine. So I'm just thinking about like when you're training for football in college,
yeah.
right? It takes a tremendous amount of self-discipline, which clearly you were already implementing through high school. And when you're playing football, the awareness you have to have of the people moving around you, right?
Mhm.
Spatially, is something different that you don't necessarily experience in other aspects of life.
Yeah.
So, how did that newfound awareness and self discipline and how you're engaging at a higher level on the field then transfer to how you engage, say, at work or just moving through the world in general?
Um, I guess it gave me more confidence. It gave me more confidence in terms of like, um, you know, not being afraid. Or like when I would meet new people, I wouldn't, because I was always, I mean, I still am very kind of introverted slash shy, but I mean, throughout football and stuff and all that, it allowed me to, you know, be more, I guess, confident when it came to, you know, going to a new job or um, meeting new people because like with college, every year there was always a new set of kids coming in. So it was, constantly, you know, I guess not introducing, but like kind of getting to know the new kids, the new group of guys coming up. So then that in turn, I guess, helped me in the real world with, you know, when I would go to a new job or uh, just I guess just whatever. Just it allowed me to have confidence.
Well, that's great. Thank you for sharing that with us. There's so many pieces to the
Yeah,
journey, right?
yeah.
Is there anything else you'd like to share in regards to the mindset that it took you along the way and how like that self-discipline can transform your life?
God.
I know there's probably a lot of pieces. You're like, which
There,
direction do I
yeah,
go?
there's just a million things going on. I'm just trying to figure out which to pull out. Um,
You can ramble them about all of them. It's fine. There's lots of us out here that have ADHD. We're bouncers. It's okay.
um, I guess in terms of I guess in terms of self-discipline, it's just keep going. I guess I mean that's it sounds so cliche, but it's the simplest thing. It's just keep going. Like you're gonna, if you're just getting started or if you've been on a weight loss journey or just any sort of, transformation, body, physical, mental, whatever, just keep going. You're gonna have bad days. You just gotta take them with the good. But if once you get started and then you see how you've changed from like point A to the current point you're at, it I mean with it's hard to say because everybody's different mentally, but like with me, I don't, because I'm talking about this, I don't think much of it, like the whole weight loss. Like I never really thought much of it. Like I didn't think it was anything very spectacular, just because that's how my mind works. That's how I think. Because as I've got older, you see all these people on TikTok and Instagram and how, they've lost all this weight and this and that. And to me, my thing was never really, it wasn't anything spectacular in my mind, just because I knew other people were doing it. But the older I get, like as I got older, and I want to say, I guess, maybe not more mature, but more like, I guess, but like when I do think about it, like thinking about to when I was that heavy and seeing, old old clothing that I still have, like 5XL, 6XL sweatshirts and t-shirts. And actually my parents still have a few in the garage, but I think it's when I see stuff like that. And then when I like, I'll try the shirt on. So when I see that is when it actually hits me. It's like I did do something. And so it's kind of like using that in a sense to help you on those bad days when you have them, because not every day is going to be perfect.
Yeah.
So it's just, you know, I guess just remembering where you started, I guess, and just just keep pushing. Just keep pushing.
The way out is the way through.
Yeah.
And that there's more people that have your back than you probably realize if you're just brave enough to reach your hand out and ask.
Yeah.
Are there any other key people that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Mm, I mean, you know, Coach Bogey and Coach Krim were the two that essentially like helped me get started in the process. Like I'll always be grateful for them. I mean, I guess it's my parents too. It's even though issues with them led to the issues that they had with each other that affected me growing up. Like yeah, like I can, part of me will say, oh, it led to my issues, but I mean, after um, after I went through the weight loss, and especially the last 10 years with everything that's gone with my surgery, because when you lose 200 pounds, you have a lot of excess skin, and um, I had to have surgery to have it removed. And I mean, that was that was probably the biggest thing affecting me body image wise, self image wise, was the skin. And just I couldn't stand the way I looked, even though, like, I had muscle and I was strong. I still had the loose skin and all that stuff hanging, and it that messed with me more mentally than when I was just very obese. But I mean, finished college, and my parents paid for me to have the surgery to get it removed. And I mean, that's probably one of the biggest things, because like once I had that, it, I guess I want to say, opened up another level of self-confidence. But it did. And them helping me do that, I'll never be able to repay them. Fuck. God damn it. Sorry.
Okay. It's just part of being human.
Like,
It's courageous to just be authentic and have the experience, because what you went through was very powerful and transformative. And emotion shows, the gratitude that you have, the depth of the impact that your family made in supporting you through that. And that's a beautiful thing. And thank you for modeling what that healthily looks like for a man to show up in that way, because it is powerful and it is important for people to see that it is not remotely weakness as we stand in our spaces of authenticity.
yeah.
Thanks for just being real and showing up here and courageously sharing your story with us, because our stories are important and you become a permissionary for others.
It's it, it molds you into who you are. And then, you might have you could have stuff going on throughout your childhood that affects you and affects how you act. I don't want to say act, but affects your mindset as an adult. And you know other people, they don't, like you said before, like they don't, I don't want to say take the time, but they don't take the time to actually get to know the real person, to see what what issues they've had in the past, or what they're going through. And they just, you know they they don't, I don't know what I'm saying.
There is a man who posted, Benjamin Chernovsky. He said, "Never apologize for crying, bro. It's beautiful, a beautiful release, powerful tool."
Feels good though, but I hate doing it. I hate doing it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of crying either, to be honest, but it's important for us to let it out and not have the emotions stay trapped in our bodies. And also to just be healthy, positive role models for others, regardless. Speaking of which, you have an amazing shirt on that The Rock sported before. Do you want to show people? I just love it so much. Always be you. Benjamin also said, yeah, people gently don't take the time to get to know the inner person. It takes time and patience.
It takes time, patience, and it takes um
Generally. Thanks, Benjamin.
I, I guess it takes I guess it, you have to be comfortable too. Because like I mean, I'm not gonna open up about shit unless, you know, I don't want to say comfortable, but unless I trust the person. So I mean, yeah, I've never, most I've ever talked about this whole thing was that I just tell people, oh, I used to weigh, I was 450 pounds in freshman year of high school. And then I just explained that I dropped to 250. I never really talked, nobody really knows, what led to the obesity or how I lost the weight or this or that or who helped me with the journey. It was I always just ever said, yeah, I was this heavy and I was this just because I didn't to me when people would ask that it's kind of like all I just wanted them to know because again I not that I didn't trust them but I didn't know them well enough or feel comfortable enough with them to I guess let them see that part of my life. So
Um, I feel honored that you feel safe enough for me to join us here today and share your story for the first time publicly.
yeah, I think it's just good for me too mentally because I mean if if it would some young kid would watch it or something like that and it would just force help them just get to the gym one day or just do something physical once to where they could eventually lead into doing it on a consistent basis. I'm not saying I'm gonna save anybody's life but
You
if I can
might.
help change I guess change somebody who kind of has the same mental um blockade, then I guess that's really all I can hope for. Because I mean, I had people in the past that have come up and saying that um, like the one guy from a gym before, he had said how I I don't want to say inspired because that word's kind of I don't know weird in my head, but like I
Well,
help.
it's funny that you say that because Tyler just wrote, "Love you, buddy. Keep pushing. You inspire people more than you may think."
Yeah, how's work, bud? Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ty, yeah, he's another one. Um, in terms of like helping people, I know, you know, he had issues he had shoulder issues and stuff, and it was one of those things. I'm also very um closed off in the gym, so I always typically always train by myself, except for when I was back in Pennsylvania with my garage strength family and my line design family. Then I would train with my coaches and stuff. But if I wasn't at one of those gyms, if I was at a chain gym, I would just stick to myself. And I didn't like bringing people into my space because when I would go to the gym, like I had a plan. I didn't want to mess around. And uh, he reached out. Like I mean, we talk all the time, but he had said about going to the gym together, and we did. And I got him. He had I don't want to say a blown out shoulder, but he had a bum shoulder, and I got him to weights that he never did before and stuff like that. So that made me feel good knowing that, you know, I helped him better himself. But, you know, yeah, he's been one that's been with me through a lot of shit too. But yeah,
Important to have those people in our lives.
Yeah.
Well, Dakota, on that beautiful note, who inspires you in the world today?
I mean, this sounds generic and whatever, but my parents just, you know, for everything that everything that they've done for me and my brother especially, um, and just never, you know, never once asked for um, anything in return. It was just always out of pure love. And I mean, yeah, because without them, I wouldn't be here. If I had any other set of parents, I wouldn't be here. But I mean, yeah, I mean, my parents inspire me. Because like I said, it's tough. The word inspire is always weird to me because, what are they inspiring you to do? Like I could say a strongman athlete because they're inspiring me to, lift obscene amounts of weights. But I mean, my parents inspire me in a sense because, I guess, yeah, they just my parents.
And that's enough,
Yeah,
for them to just be who they are. And
yeah,
that's really beautiful that the support that they gave you. And I'm sure I speak for many people that we're glad that you're still here.
yeah.
Dakota, once again, thank you so much for your courage today and sharing your story publicly for the first time. Tyler says, very glad, all capital letters and exclamation point. For those of you watching, the recording will be on my YouTube channel, Global Resources for Men. For the gentlemen out there, I also have a men's life coaching membership, which is launching. We're covering fatherhood for the rest of the month, and we will be talking about wellness in April, mindset in May, and fitness in June for just a few different things. And you can do a free 2-week trial if you'd like to see what we're about for both the weekly group coaching calls where I have men come from all over the world to facilitate, as well as our library, which this recording will also be put on, and resources for the global directory, because all of you guys out there deserve to have a voice, safe place to articulate it in, and a community of amazing men to support you wherever you are in your journey. So until next time, we'll see you later, guys, and ladies too.